resources and wealth, especially money that God has blessed us with. And I defined marriage as the union between husband and wife, and relationship as the connection of two or more people anywhere, any connection of two or more people. So this connection can be you and God, it can be you and other people, it can be me and God, me and other people, one or more people. So that is a relationship. And so the place of finances in marriage or relationships, I first took us to the perception, the biblical perception of this position of money in our lives as Christians, as children of God, or as people that He has created. What does the Bible say? Number one, we are called to love God with all our hearts and with all our minds. Proverbs 11:28, God warns us against putting trust in riches because they are perishable. It's there today, tomorrow, it's no more. Another perception, biblical perception of the position of money is Matthew 22:37, which says, Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, like I've read before. But 1 Peter 1:18-19 also warns us about the nature of money, wealth, and all those things. It says, those valuables are perishable. You will read for yourselves. It's 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 18-19. So for you as a child of God, you were not bought by those. Even when we value them here on earth, you were not bought by those. And so if you are not bought by those, but by the blood of Jesus, then you are more valuable than those things, the wealth, the finances, the gold, and the silver. You are more valuable. So I came up with a small illustration. I hope our PowerPoint can come on. I'll let you know when Mr. is ready. But a small, Caleb, kindly make Mr. Sibekes a host, a co-host, and give him some rights so he can share with us that PowerPoint. I came up with a small illustration where I was showing you the position. So it is God first, love the Lord your God with all your heart, God first, and then you or me next, and then other things in that order. Okay, so other things can be the money, it can be the wealth, the cows, all those things. It can be all those things. What is the place of finances and this wealth that God has given us in relationships? I really felt I should address the BU and CU first, so that we can move on steadily. In relationships, if it is these relationships that are leading to marriage, what is the place of finances? We know that some people have failed to choose future spouses because of money. Recently, my mother was telling me about someone that she had talk about. I am confused. There are these two people. One has a lot of money. He can actually pull off all the functions, the big functions I have. If I said I do, I will have a mega function of an introduction. I will have a mega wedding. But his character. And then he said, but Bambi, the other one is very good. His character is so good, but he's broke. He went to school. He has his papers, but he's so broke. So, member of Brothers Union, Sisters Union, I will ask you a question. What do you want in the person you are choosing as a future spouse? If it is money, wealth, run for it. If it is a stable marriage, there is a way. Statistics has it. There is a way those people don't come smelling money. There is a way those people don't come smelling money. If you find them, they are there. They are actually there, but there are not many who come like that, smelling money, and you just know that this one is going to make her. So please let us run back to the Lord, that He will guide us. Let us use the
Aunt Grace, I don't seem to be hearing you anymore.
Hello. Friends, can
Yes,
you
Uncle
hear
David.
us?
Now I can hear you.
Hello?
Uncle David, I can hear you, but I don't seem to hear Aunt Grace anymore.
Hello? Caleb,
Yes,
can we be heard?
hello.
Are we being heard?
Yes, Uncle David, I'm hearing you.
Hello, am I being heard now?
Yes, now you are. Now you are being heard.
I know that you lost me at one point. Where did I stop? Kindly let me know.
You were giving an illustration of those with character and those with money.
Thank you very much. So I should ask you, what did you want in this person? Just be genuine with yourself and ask yourself, what do I want in this person? Yes. So, and the other thing is, let your relationships, not limited to those that you're making to look for a future spouse, let your relationships be established on Christ, and then you will be good to go. You'll stand a high chance of getting it right eventually. So to the other relationships, other than that, love God's people the way they are. Do not be tempted to have or treat them with respect to the money they have. So we should be careful. We should be careful. Scripture says, let them, this is how you will know. This is how they will know that you are my disciples. You love me and then you love my people. So I'm paraphrasing. Let us love God's people because he is love. And this is how the world will know that we know God, by loving one another. So love God's people the way they are. But the other point under other relationships is sometimes tables turn, and we might not be able to stand our ground if we took sides based on money. And sometimes this goes to our parents, if there are any parents online. I've had so many people come for help and guidance, complaining about parents loving their children who have more money than those that do not have. It's just unfortunate at the moment that this child is probably struggling to make it in life, or to pull through. But let our love, even for our children, not be based on who has more than the other, or who doesn't have, or who studies more than the other, so they seem to be making it easier in life, and so they will be able to help me more in life. Let our relationships not be as cheap as that. Let us love God's people, not based on what they have or what they give us. It's a very big temptation around. It is a temptation even I face very many times, that I have to beat myself so many times. But let us not yield to it. We are children of God. We are Christian. Let us love God's people. Share your wealth with God's people, with people around you, your family members, your relatives who don't have. Please share the little that God has given you, and you will speak more than a sermon at a pulpit. Stand with God's people in need with a little that you have still. God does not expect you to give what you do not have. So what is the place of finances? The place of finances in other relationships is that you will love people. Your relationship with them is not defined on how much money they have. The place of finances in relationships is that you will share what you have with God's people. It is that you will stand with those in need. And when you also look around, it is easier to support a person who has supported you before, especially when it is now wedding meetings and all those things. It is easier to run to support such a person than a person who has never supported you, especially when you know they have. Leave alone the fact that they don't have. But when you know they have and they didn't stand in to support you, there will be a challenge. So let us stand with those who do not have, those who are in need. That is there we shall be using our wealth and finances very well. We get to a bit of points that I came up with: the place and position of money, finances. When you make money or finances your friend above God, above your life, it will command you. We have had people who do not rest. A person just cannot rest. People cannot serve God. They cannot spare any time to serve God. There is just no time for family. They have no time for any other person. Ate munange tunakola ki tulina okukola. We have to work. It is good to work because the same Bible says, he who does not work will not eat. But what position are you giving the finances and the wealth in line with God, the general life, even your life, your health? You know, some people work at the expense of their health. They work at the expense of their children's upbringing, at the expense of all these things that later play out in life and demand either our tears or our joy. So weigh and see, is money commanding us? If you make it your friend above God, above life, I promise you, money can be more disastrous than even the devil himself. Because the devil uses, he capitalizes on your weakness for money, and he will use it to destroy us. He will use it to make us restless. He will use it to create an emptiness in us. And before we know, we are in the worst of places. I know many of us have heard about the spirit of Mammon. That spirit is very real, by the way. Tell me a person who has the spirit of Mammon, and I'll tell you a person who cannot sit there when they cannot even give time to anything that adds value to their life or health. I will tell you that person. So let us not make money. Let us not allow money to command us. When we give it its proper place, then we will be able to manage it. And the other point I put up also as a caution is that we cannot serve money. We cannot serve money. Actually, the Bible says you cannot serve two masters, God and money. You know, you either choose one, because, and you know, God had it in mind that there is a devil somewhere, but he cautions us not to serve money, because he knows that this devil here is going to capitalize on this money and make you do things that you will not walk into the shrine to do, but money will get you in places deeper than a shrine to do. We've had people sacrifice their children, sacrificing their marriage. A person sacrifices their only opportunity to serve the Lord because of money. So friends, let us be cautious about this. We've also had these phrases among the youth. I had a gig on Sunday, so I couldn't come, man. I needed some money, you know. Let us be careful. Let us be careful. Let us be very alert, because our enemy is rolling like a lion, looking for someone to devour, and he uses just anything. Sometimes money has made us lose our values, lose our names, lose our identity, simply because we are running after it, or we have allowed to be enslaved by it. May we ask God for wisdom with this blessing that can only come from him. And so that if we use it very well, then we shall actually be blessed, and the people around us will be blessed. So the place of finances in marriage. I am done with the place of finances in relationships. Let us look at the place of finances in marriage. I remember the scripture that we commonly use in counseling, and I felt I would share with us as well. It benefits us all. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 2, which says, submit to one another out of reverence for God. Now, friends, in marriage, I caution us, let our respect for one another not be based on how much the other person brings in, but let it be based on the fear of God. Because the fear of God is going to direct us to be submissive as wives. It's going to help us to love even when it is hardest, so that whether money is there or not, whether money has not yet come or it has arrived, we shall respect each other. So all of us have been created in the image of God, and the place of finances in marriage should be that we look at each other as created in the image of God. And then money will find us, you know. We love each other as created in the image of God, and then wealth will find us. You both should always, should be ready to respect each other before the money comes. Sometimes we've had questions where people ask, so how about if we found the money there and it was already glued to his money or her money? Then there is already a problem, because as you come together, the first time you've come together, you have failed to place this money in its position. You have given right away from the time you meet and start a relationship, you have allowed money to be at the center of the relationship. You have not allowed each of you to be a priority to the other. So that is how it's going to continue in marriage. And tomorrow, when your marriage fails, it is simply because right from the beginning, you never placed money where it belongs. So money is supposed to come in to serve us as husband and wife. We are not supposed to be servants of money, so that we are able to prioritize each other. We are able to even desire to meet each other's needs before ourselves. And then we shall be able to put this money below us. We shall be able to control it. We shall be able to manage it. And briefly, I'll talk about two key elements under financial management. I felt it would be unfair, much as I'm not addressing this topic, I will bring in these key elements because they'll help us in this looking at the position of money. So if we have put money under us and we are the ones controlling this money that the Lord has blessed us with, the wealth, the lands, the livestock, and all these blessings, then we are called to transparency. If we have transparency about what we earn and what we spend, friends, this is going to create a lot of trust, and the other party will be trustworthy simply because of transparency. Now, one person will ask, then is he supposed to know even when I buy an earring or I buy a shoe? Yes, sometimes you will tell them after buying, but build this transparency that it will equal to trust and nothing else. That even when you spend and forget to declare, that time you declare, you are trusted. And please, if I have trusted you, then be trustworthy. Friends, I must tell you that trustworthiness can be seen in so many ways in marriage. When one person asks for more than what they need, that is, it's a form of untrustworthiness. Like it's being untrustworthy. You ask for more than you need every time. You feel you can't say exactly what you need because tojak fisao. And yet we know that in marriage, God gives these finances, this wealth for the benefit of this marriage and this family that eventually gives us. So for you, officer, for what? What is it that your partner cannot help you get? What is it that you cannot work together to get with your partner? So if there is transparency, then let you who has been trusted also be I hear enjaulo. Yes. So you might kwaula and you kweyaula, at the end of the day, and that will not be good. So you always get what you need, what is enough. And please do not spend extravagantly. I'm talking about the other person being trustworthy too. Spend within the budget, spend to benefit the family, spend to benefit the marriage. Sometimes when you see yourself spending on things that you feel you don't want your spouse to know, that is also a form of untrustworthiness. You are really trying to hide your expenditures. Then wherever there's a bit of darkness, just know it is really darkness. It's not just a bit of it. So spend what you will be confident to let your person know. And also, spending without having the family in mind is a temptation to walk the road of being untrustworthy. Because if God has provided these finances, everything that we spend on, everything that we bring in, God intends that it makes this marriage better, it makes this family better, it glorifies Him. So let us be able to spend for the good of our marriage, of our family. So someone will ask, so is it, are we to have a joint account or a separate account? Friends, I must let you know that sometimes, as much as you need a joint account, one account in marriage, it might not be possible. Why? Because you are working in two different places. Salary is going to be paid under someone's names and under the other person's names. So by default of that, it's not going to be possible. But I would say, whether separate or joint account, friends, let there be transparency. The account I would recommend us to have is a transparent account. Now, transparent separate or transparent joint, because we've also had people who have joint accounts, and because the husbands know women don't like reading details, there's this part where they allow one person to withdraw without the consent of another. And so they'll put the papers there, bam, you sign that one, and the guy withdraws money morning, evening, before you realize there is nothing, and yet you have been saving. So whether joint or separate, let there be transparency. That one was about transparency under management of the resources and finances. Number two that I felt I should also share about is planning. Cultivate a habit of planning for your resources, for your finances. I will give a testimony later, but this planning should not only be amongst the couples, the two of you, but even the family that God will give you later. Why? These children, first of all, you will be passing on a culture to them that they'll pass on to their families, but your children are able to live within your means as a family. Of course, take it in measures that they can take in. If you are blessed with a lot of finances, your child might be as childish as declaring that my father has, this amount, and she sings it around. So in portions that they can take in and handle, let that transparency, let every person in the family be given an opportunity to plan and to hear how you handle the finances that God has given you. A testimony about us, the Sibekes. So one time, Dr. John comes to share on retirement, preparing for retirement in a marriage fellowship. My God, I will not preempt so that you also call him to your marriage fellowships. But he left our hearts on fire to save and to invest. And so David and I felt we didn't have a lot, we didn't have enough to put aside. But because we share these things, for us, we will share even 2,000 shillings. If we woke up and that's what we have, we will share it. And so we prayed. We prayed about it. We told God how we felt. We were grateful. We had got the knowledge, but we had nothing on table. But then later, a thought came through, and we said, you know what? We are going to be saving this amount, little as it is. After these many years, it will be this. Friends, there is power in unity in a marriage. That one, I don't have just this testimony. I have many. Please come and visit us in Namugongo. We shall share. But the Lord opened a window, and we got a certain amount of money. It was not hard at all to direct it to that particular area, because we had been praying about it. We had been planning for it. We had just been hungry to have this money to put there. And so when it came, we put it there without hustling. No one was pulling ropes and having that. We just needed that. that has also happened most of the times we have gone for we normally take our marriage during the times of when we celebrate our anniversary. And one of the things we talk about is our finances. I know when David needs another job. I know when he's praying for something in line of his employment and his job. He knows when business is struggling. As a matter of fact, there's a time, a period, we said, even if God blessed us with all the money, we are not adding money in this business because it was just not happening. Like it wasn't happening the way we wanted. And we had settled for that. And even if we got any amount of money, business wasn't priority. Business was going to build itself. We're not adding money there. But it comes out of a place of planning. Those things don't just come. And so this kind of investment and planning will eventually equal to the principle of value addition in marriage. You see that portion where God says, multiply, increase and multiply. Multiplication is not only about having children, but it desires that you get better. Your marriage gets better every other time. So out of planning, we can talk about multiplication and value addition in our marriages. The second testimony I want to share with us, friends, is the testimony of our bigger family. Mommy allowed me to share this. Very many times we have had our parents call us home for a lunch or dinner. Not every lunch or dinner, but once in a while, he says, friends, make it a point for all of you to be around. There's something we want to share with you. And it is their property, it is their wealth. We also have our families, but they will call us. And you know, this has helped us to stand by each other, support in prayer. You know how far the other person is moving and doing. You're able to pray for one another, support, even give ideas. At times, they feel probably there's an idea they've overlooked, and the children might say it better or bring it out. So they have showed us that they are not independent of us, and we feel loved by our parents. And we have decided to also do this in our family. Now, this has not only allowed us to be in each other's lives, but it has created such a bond in the family. It's there. Of course, there are so many other things that have helped us grow together as a family, but that is one of them. And so for us, when we are going to do something, we normally come and inquire of them. Anyway, after all, they've been there before us. And I must testify that we have not meandered on so many things because of their guidance. So it is very helpful to include the whole family in this planning, but more importantly, the two of you have to plan for these finances. Friends, I must caution you that as you plan and work together and put resources together, sometimes you're going to fall. Very bad falls. The falls are there. They are there in life. But the Bible tells us in Ecclesiastes 4:9-12 that two are better than one. Two are better than one. Why? Because when one is discouraged, when one falls, the other is able to lift them up. There are times we have done those we have done those bad. Okay, we've engaged in two deals that have failed. I think when David comes on, he will tell you about one we did when we were still relating. It went so bad that we had no trace of any shilling that we had invested in it. So when his turn comes, he will share with us. But friends, let us be encouraged that finances should not be a driving force in our lives, not as Christians, not as anything. God first, our lives, and then other things come. So in conclusion, I will say a good marriage or relationship is based on the fear of God, love, and care for one another. This is a fertile environment for transparency and trustworthiness. It helps to plan together how to spend what you earn for the general good of the family and any other relationship. This, in turn, attracts God's blessing and favor upon the marriage or relationship. It is said that enough is good is as good as a feast. When you plan, when you utilize the resources, you're going to realize they're actually enough. It is enough. Or if you don't have it today, then you can have a hope to get it tomorrow. So enough starts from a heart of gratitude, a heart that is not selfish, a heart that is not planned, is not thinking about only itself, yes, selfish, but a transparent heart. That is where enough starts from. And this enough is always as good as a feast. So I think all of us should embrace the prayer of Solomon that he made in Proverbs 38:10. I will paraphrase, do not give me too much that I'll forget you, and do not give me too little that I will grumble. But just give me enough, enough, enough. May the Lord bless you, friends. I will invite Mr. Sibekes to say something before the post.
Well, thank you so much, Grace. Thank you so much. That was wonderful and well thought through. Just maybe 1 or 2 or 3 additions from the things that Grace shared. We do have the testimony. She was trying to remind us of the deal which went bad. I don't know, we're just about towards the time of marriage. Say that this business, it looked like a very good deal. It was called Dutch International. You know those circle things where you put here, then you get interest, and then interest on interest. Those deals which are not even easy to explain. And we're hesitant, but for some reason we put the money there. I'll say that. And what made me get convinced is that because I work in the bank, I went and found these guys have an account in the bank. I said, this could be genuine guys. I even went and saw where they work, their residence is. So we went and put money there. But my friend, the things here for free money, we invested, and this somehow you who has come in at the time you come in, you are the last at the time where the business begins collapsing, and the guys fled the country with a lot of money from different people. We failed to trace it. We just wrote it off. You couldn't tell people what kind of investment it was. That put this and you get 50%. Those funny deals. But lessons were learned there. Is do not invest in places that don't make a lot of sense, especially those gift circles. Please be careful when you're investing. Somebody says, I'm going to give you 80% of your money. Please be very careful. Yeah. But also the things that I wanted to add on, Grace has stated everything, elaborated everything very well, but just a few additions. Brothers Union, Sisters Union, when she talked about as families, you need to give, there's a part that I keep thinking about, that you, Brothers Union, Mothers and Sisters Union, there's a time, and I think about it many times, because the time when you want to go for weddings, that's when you gather all the contacts in church and then you send out your invites to the wedding meetings, you know. But the people you're sending to sometimes you've never talked to them for the past 6 years you've been in church with them. The point I'm trying to make is that let us learn to also build relationships, because it then makes it easy in your relationship at the time when you need. And you may never be able to contribute to Mr. and Mrs. Sibekes' wedding meeting because it happened before you were even born, probably. But there are those defining moments, because for you, a wedding is the most important thing at that point. Very exciting. But learn to come in those moments when people in your community or church have their defining moments. It could be birth of a child. It could be that one of them is sick. They have been announced in church that he's not feeling well. It could be just a moment you are at church, you never say hello. Please pass by and say hello and give your time. Sometimes even in those functions, you just need to come. You don't have to have money. Just come and give ideas, give time. Say, I will be there in the morning to ensure that just show that you are available, even if it's just even your friends. So that when your time comes, you'll have invested in the relationship, that the people who you now send this message to when your time comes are not saying, who is this guy? Oh, I have never talked to this guy. I see him, but for the first time after 7 years, he's sending me a message, and the message is saying, please support us. And it is not a very good habit for us, the Balokole. I'm pointing to us because it is us here on the platform. So we can do better by first building a relationship, and then by your good investment in relationship moves ahead of your future plans. That is just something I thought I mentioned. But the second thing is, when it comes to marriage, marriage was God's idea. So it is God's project. Now, if God is a project manager and he wants to ensure that the marriage moves smoothly, it is his responsibility to facilitate. When you have a project and you want to send for the field, you need to give them money for per diem, money for accommodation, money for transport. That is the same thing God does in a relationship, because it is his. He will facilitate it. And how does he facilitate it? He will decide where he facilitates it from. It could be money which comes from the wife. It could be money which comes from the husband. And so the principle of his money is my money and his is ours is not biblical. Because God, every finance that comes through the two of you is facilitation, which is coming from the project manager to facilitate and better the marriage. So you need to be, you need to, this thing of holding money and keeping it, let me use, let us eat my husband's money only, is not biblical. It is the money that God has provided for the facilitation of the marriage. So it is important that you note that. And then when it comes, please be, like Grace has said, be transparent, talk about the income that has come through, and then plan accordingly. The other thing that Grace, I wanted to add on is, please, she's talked about planning together, but in the planning together in there is things like budgeting together. Sometimes the finances are scarce, and forget motivational speakers who come and tell you that you need to spend within your means. Sometimes there are moments where you have more needs than the money you have. But guess what? It helps when you're able to sit down and you have a budget. You know how much income has come in. You know how much expenses you have. You know that the money you have will probably not be enough to meet the expenses, but at least you're aware, and especially because most likely the expenses we're talking about, not talking about this extravagant one. There are those expenses that you can't do away with. You know, I know they will take the motivation speaker will say now shift from Muntinda and go and live somewhere in Kayunga, and in a place which it may even be more expensive. But I'm just talking about those expenses. But if you know about that gap, then you will spend with knowledge and know that now during the month when money comes through, we are all targeting it towards this need. Just like Grace told you, as we had a plan at some point, we are looking forward to when we get money, we shall invest it somewhere. And when it came, guess what? There was no argument. And the same thing here, if the money comes in the time where it comes, you know that, we've spent all the money, but the things that we are paying are your car, this, and then you point to the money. All of you are focused in one direction. That's the beauty of planning. Yes, and then, and then my last one is that, when Grace talked about let money have its place, it's just to remind us that it is unfortunate that many people have chosen to love money more than the valuable things around us. But for the simple reason that money comes in to meet our short-term needs. Money has the benefit of kagwirawo, unlike the other things, other important things that you can't value, like relationship with God, things that you can't value, like your values. You, a brother or a sister will live a good relationship and go with their relationship because there's money. People have sacrificed their spouses for money. People have killed for money. People have become dishonest for money. And those things that you are exchanging with a relationship with God, of course, has eternal life. But when somebody thinks of eternal life versus this kagwira, the person thinks of the kagwira one, doesn't focus on the eternal life, doesn't focus on the good living. So if you understand what I mean, that money has this short-term benefit that blinds you completely and you forget what matters in life. And then tomorrow you end up doing the wrong thing and you lose your life. What does the Bible says that what does it benefit a man to gain the whole world and yet lose his soul? Yeah, so those are the things that I thought I just comment about amongst the many things that have been talked about. And we will end it here and probably give an opportunity for, if there are any questions that we can share together. I can hand over to Caleb, the host here. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Many thanks, David and Grace, for the justice done to our discussion this evening. The reminder of eternity and where our focus is. What shall it benefit a man to gain the whole world and at the end of it all lose his own soul? Indeed, it is quite a reminder to all of us concerning our priorities. Where are our priorities? Are our priorities on the money, or are our priorities on growing the relationships, or are our priorities and focus on eternity? Many thanks and indeed blessings your way. Friends, should there be any questions, kindly feel free to share them with us in the chat room so that we are able to pick them up and ensure that answers are provided. Okay, by looking at the chat, most of these, yes, big ups and claps, and indeed, thank you, Grace and David. That is awesome. You talked about something, you talked about joint accounts. I agree with you. Sometimes it may be complex to have joint accounts, but what should matter most to me, and I agree with you, Aunt Grace, it ought to be transparency. You can have one account and you choose the money not to pass there, and you can have 100 accounts and you and you're still open. So to me, I agree with you, Aunt Grace. The concept ought to be in the openness, in the transparency. Okay, we have 2 hands up. Daisy, kindly unmute and ask your question. Daisy, unmute and ask the question, or feel free to type in the chat. Daisy and Bira, over to you.
Hi, thank you so much, David and Grace. How are you? So my question is about conflict in finances. Could you give us an example when both of you had an urgent priority? So I'm saying urgent priority when David thought he had something that was burning and urgent to him, and also Grace felt like no, nechange to the urgent, and the finances are enough for only one thing. And maybe just talk about conflict when it comes to the finances. Otherwise, thank you so much for the lessons and for the talk.
After talking about the conflict, I believe you will also be able to tell us how you handled it. Thank you. Sister Bill, are you able to unmute and ask the question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Everyone, thank you so much, Auntie Grace and Uncle David, for the wonderful share. I have two questions. One is about relationships in form of friendship, like how can you handle a friend, your friend, whom you always help in case she needs something, she's sick, or she has lost her dear ones, or she needs some help from you, that whenever she got anything, any problem with finances, you keep helping. But to you, whenever you receive such a kind of problem, you ask her, either you have lost your relatives or any other problem, and you try to ask her, she can't do anything to you. Yet she's able, she has money, but she can never help you. But to you, whenever she asks anything, whenever she's in bad condition, you do help. Now, to me, I was like, how can I handle that friend of mine who doesn't care about me, but she cares about herself? In case she had anything, she asks you, you just help. The second thing is in finances, as in relationship things, friendship, how can you handle a person you find that you're not in true friendship or relationship with anyone, but you have contacts, you can talk, you communicate, like just greetings. Now, how can you relate this thing, like whenever someone keeps sending you money, just you find your account has been credited some money from such and such person, you don't have any communication with him, but you find him has deposited some money. You as a Christian, how can you deal with this? He can't tell you anything, or you didn't request anything, but you just find him has sent you some money. You as a Christian, can you keep getting that money, or it is good for you to reject and resend it back? Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister. I love the emphasis. It is he sending and and there is no clear communication. Yes, one last question. It came in my inbox. This one is asking, a friend is asking about putting resources or money together while still in a relationship. What would be your counsel, Uncle David and Aunt Grace? What is your counsel about people in a relationship putting resources together? They are not yet married. What is your counsel to them? Over to you. You could answer those questions as we pick another couple of them. Over to you.
Thank you so much, friends. I will answer the two questions of Bira, and David will answer Daisy's powerful question. Bira, first and foremost, there is being used and there is being abused. This happens a lot in relationships because normally it's with these two things that you realize whether you're being a blessing or this relationship is getting us somewhere, or the other person is feeding on the relationship selfishly for just their benefit, and then they are using you. I think you will be able to know. My friend normally tells me, but Grace, I've told you, where the Spirit of God is, there is liberty. You're supposed to be able to feel that peace. Once you feel something is taking away your peace, your comfort, think twice about it, Bira. This, I've given you an antidote for almost everything that you do. When you feel your peace is going, most likely God is not there in that thing. So you think twice. And then the question about putting money together in a relationship, I think will also, it will not answer the other one. The other one was when this person puts money on your account, the fact that you know them and you feel still the peace is not there, kindly send back the money. Or just like if you're far, example, where you are, and you're not able to do those transactions, keep that money on the account. And when you return, be sure to return this money to them. But tell them that, you know what, the kind of relationship I have with you does not allow for this, for us to get to this extent. I am not comfortable when you do this. Because eventually, when you eat this money with the awareness that you are not supposed to eat it, your conscience is going to kill you with guilt. So as a child of God, even once you have felt that the disturbance of your peace, please don't take this money. When did I start sharing money with David in our relationship? Host, kindly allow me to share this for the benefit of the person who has asked. We related for 7 years before we got married. And for me, the first years of this relationship, I think I didn't ask for money from my boyfriend. I didn't, because I knew how to do this and that, small things here and there to earn my living. What I was looking out of this relationship was a friendship. And actually, for us that time, we even feared money. I don't know whether it's the case today. We feared a boy giving you money. You got money from a what? So that was the relationship we have. Your case might be different, but see to it that if this money is coming in, it is coming in as help from any friend you would get friend at church, a friend who is a girl and you're a girl, but if the peace is not there, still please not take this money. So one time my mother-in-law to be calls me and says, but Grace, why are you struggling? Your friend is giving you this money, please accept it. He feels bad when you don't have this. You're going to walk to Makerere from Ntinda, and yet he can afford to give you 2,000 for transport. Accept it. It makes him happy. That's when I started allowing David's money. Other than that, money from what? A man. My conscience never got to terms with it until I got a better explanation about it. So it should be at a certain stage where, you know, probably it's ending up into marriage, or this relationship is clean and pure, then, but let your conscience help you, dear Bera. Yeah. Over to Mr. Sibekes.
Yeah, thank you. You remind me, Bera's question reminds me of that saying that you borrow from the devil and you pay with heavy interest. When you get money that somebody is giving you and you just eat it, somehow you'll have to pay. What happens when this, because it compromises you, what happens if this person is asking you to give what you can't give? You will still remember, but you ate his money. And then you're forced to compromise. Never lose the upper hand in a relationship, because by taking the money, then you lose the upper hand. You to say no with authority, because he owes you nothing. At that point, you are almost, you know, because there's nothing he owes you. But if you know you have eaten, you have the iPhone, you have everything, and you think, I've eaten so much data, so much everything, it becomes difficult for you to say no where you genuinely should have said no, because then you look back and say, but now even me, I'm being unkind. I've taken all these things from them. Always maintain the upper hand, and for both sisters and brothers, but especially you sisters. Then the second thing, when Grace was commenting that you're putting pressure on the young man to get money, to get your money. And especially I'm giving a scenario where you're both on campus. Where is he going to get the money? He's getting from probably his pocket money. But also, you're most likely going to cause him to get money from the wrong places. If this is your future friend and husband, and you know he's not working, you're both in school, where is the money coming from? You should ask questions that are deeper than just the now, okay? Yeah, but Daisy, I'm still struggling with your question, because I'm struggling with an exact answer on the exact conflict. But I can say that conflicts happen all the time. We conflict on how to spend the money. But this is the secret, that the two become one. And Grace talked about planning. So the thinking is that in those moments when you're sitting down and planning, you should think about those scenarios, that what happens when my people are sick? What happens when your people are sick? Because now they are all your parents. It has to be two-way. It has to be two-way. So where is the priority? Who of them is sicker than the other? You know, who of them, if they are all equally sick, who of them was in more need? Who of them is in more need than the other? You know, it should not be a case that it has to be equal, that you gave last time, it has to be this time. What if this time I'm giving in this person's turn when the other one is actually in more need? So it should be a case that you sit down, and I'm assuming that the relationship is between friends. Sit down, talk about it. The thing that you should not do is to spend money and say, I'm spending it whether you want it or not. Friends, there is no blessing. There was no blessing when you do not agree. If your friend has not seen the point that you have made, sleep over it, start the negotiation again tomorrow. If you're very convinced that the right thing to do is to give money to this person, whether your sister or your brother or that person in need, help your friend see that point. If they don't see it and they are truly your friend, then first go slow. Maybe God is telling you something. Because then tomorrow, you're the one who's going to buy land, and then because your friend didn't agree and said, I must buy it because I am the man, 1 week later, you may come back very humble that it was impelled. Because there's no blessing. But if you agree, like Grace said, if you make the laws and you agreed, guess what? you fall together, you feel, but at least you agreed, but it should not be the sense, I was telling you, and you fear even to bring up the conversation because you're full of shame. So agree together, you'll celebrate the success together. In case there's a fall, you'll share the fall together, at least console each other and say, man, guy, it could be over a cup of coffee. So next time I think we need to do better. We need to do our research better. Yes. Those are our comments. Thank you.
Wow. That was quite a mouthful. I just kept listening in and tapping in all the wisdom that there was. The question seemed not to be coming to an end. But let's receive Beth and Joret as the last questions, and we'll draw this to a close. Please, Beth, Aunt Beth.
Yeah, praise God.
I mean, kindly go straight to the question.
Yeah, mine is not a question, is a testimony and a contribution to Peter's reactions. One is about joining accounts when you are not yet one. Really, as Christians, what relationship will you call that? There is a question mark, and we should avoid, especially for the young ones. Then taking money being deposited on your account without you agreeing or knowing. Really, it is not fair. And I advise you should not take. My testimony is when 30 years ago, my boyfriend, by then, who is my husband, I remember he sent a lot of money to me, and I was in joining college. I boldly took back the money, but that, I think, emphasized my transparency. And eventually we came to get joined and become one. That one didn't disorganize the relationship. So to my sister Bira and the young ones, please, free things are not free. Let's learn to lean to God and ask for discernment to know which is good and which is bad. Otherwise, to the Sibekes, thank you so much for a moving talk. I thank you all. Over to you. Thank you. Moderator, over to you.
Please.
Thank you.
Joret, are we able to hear from you? Many thanks, everyone. Many thanks, everyone, for your very active participation. Very sincere apologies. It is 20 minutes in past the hour of 8. I know it's sorry for the background noise. It's 20 minutes into the hour of 8. We are